Alaska and the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, will the clerk call the roll?
Roll call. Wolkers is excused. Miller? Here. Atwood?
Here.
Smith? Here. Paquette?
Here.
And Chair Jaffa?
Here.
Okay, you do have a quorum.
Well, welcome back. We didn't call around, but I really appreciate everybody showing up today. Board member Walker called in, of course, and we're one seat short. But we have a short agenda today. Hopefully we can get through it really quickly. Are there any citizen comments? Okay. If you've looked over the agenda, the chair will take a motion to approve the agenda. I don't think there are any items on it. Yes, there are some consent agenda items. So is there a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda and the agenda.
Second. And a second. Okay. Okay. Any comment? Additions, changes, recommendations? Okay. We're ready to vote.
Okay, voting on today's agenda and consent agenda. Paquette?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Atwood?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
And Chair Jaffa?
Yes.
Your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and on the consent agenda was the May 3rd, 2023 PACAB meeting minutes.
Okay. All right, so proclamations, none. City administration report. I asked the acting manager or harbor master, what capacity are you here?
Both, I guess. So you got my report there. Just to let you know, they did hit our bathrooms again Saturday night. We got it undone. We got it cleared. We didn't have to call that company. And then after our, there was a meeting a while back at the council meeting. Chair Jaffa brought up a thing about micro reactors, and I actually got that email that next day. What I have was a laydown, so I thought you might be interested in that. So it was something that state just passed, so that's why I just downloaded it for you to look at. So I know that's something we've talked about at several PACAB meetings. So, anyways, I thought you have that, and I'll take any questions.
What's a micro reactor weigh?
I don't know.
You've seen a picture of it on a trailer, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a semi-truck trailer. In the harbor master's report, Norm, and I guess probably we'll get the assistant manager to talk about his report in a minute, but this vandalism issue. Is there something that we can do besides string them up? Catch them, first of all.
So, we have new cameras that have facial recognition down there, which was installed, and the police are going through some right now. I have an idea who it is, and then Nancy down at the harbor has an idea, it's somebody different, but it's somebody that comes in like 4 or 5 in the morning. So the police are gonna get that video, they're gonna go talk to these individuals, maybe nothing else, they scare them, that know that we're onto them, I don't know. But it's not a good thing. The guy's got a lot of time pulling those toilets off the wall every time, and then sometimes it gets down through. A lot of times we get it before it gets down into the main pipes. So, but just to let you know that when we started closing down, they got the shower houses down here on the beach. They had to close them down. Did the same. They actually poured concrete down the ones in the shower house on the beach, and they actually poured clay in the one that what they got Saturday night in our toilet down in the harbor. So.
Wow.
So without going into who the individual, is this is not random vandalism. This is this child pranks, or is there something else going on here?
Well, it started right, like last year, started right at Mermaid Festival. Same time last year, same time this year. Right before Mermaid Festival, we have a bunch of people in town. They hit us again right big time, right before 4th of July, so the bathrooms were shut down. So it's when we have large events, and then of course, it happened again right before Salmon Drift. So they're picking big events, and I don't know why. I know I got a lot of people that I'm talking to and that live outside the city limits and come in to take showers. They live in dry cabins or whatever, and the word's out, they're looking. I mean,
Sure.
I told them, if you find anybody, please contact the police, don't take matters into your own hands.
Is this something that's common in other communities?
I don't know.
I've never heard of this before.
We've never had, I've been, just like you know, I've been to the city for over 29 years, and this is the first time we've had this kind of,
It's 8%.
last couple years, like I said, last year it started. It was with the diaper with the concrete, and then the blue tape where it swells up in there, and the blow foam.
And is this $6,000, is that the total that we're looking at?
That's just 2 times that company came down, not counting the 4 times that I called Roto-Rooter to come over to tell me that the line's blocked.
So this could be 30, 40,000 bucks.
We're up there. We're up about almost 8 grand, maybe 10
Jesus.
overall. I don't know what's down at the shower house.
Thank you. And thanks
So
for
just to
putting
let you know that I did start clossing early.
Yeah?
We're closing early and opening up early, so I'm paying a guy a 2-hour call out in the morning, 2-hour call out in the evening. I'm having Action Locksmith, they're gonna give us some time door locks and some panic bars to install down there in the harbor. Those are roughly about 3 grand, but he's supposed to be coming down to get everything hooked up and installed. That way I don't have to pay an employee back and forth.
How does that impact the shower house?
I don't know if it's still closed. I forgot, it is still closed.
Yeah.
Because the concrete in the
Well, it
toilet.
wasn't even, the shower house was closed because they had the pump fried.
The breaker.
Yeah, plus the electric issue there.
This is an unfortunate impact on the community and our visitors and everything else.
It's like we should rip out all the toilets and just put porta potties,
Yeah.
you know? Because what can you do in a porta potty?
Tip
Not
them
much.
over.
Well,
But when we did close down, we did bring porta potties down for the public. We did, you know, and then, yeah, so,
Catch them.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Stephen?
I don't have anything to add. I'll take any questions.
I have a question. This isn't in your report, but the borough was out doing something to the tsunami siren on Low Point. Did they do things here in town as well?
Yes, ma'am. They hit everyone. The borough sent out a notice of what dates they're gonna do, and I think the clerk had it sent out too, to when they were gonna do. They just did the harbor before they went out to Low Point.
Okay.
They did Nash Road, they did Smick.
Okay,
It has all the new sirens on it. They're actually doing right over here this morning,
okay.
just right over here.
And so how does this move us closer to local control? Does it?
No.
It doesn't fix, the other issue that
Yeah.
you and I had talked about previously, it was our biggest concern, I'm not gonna call it a complaint, but a concern that we've expressed to Kenai Peninsula Borough is that the sirens are all they tie back to the National Weather Service
Right.
data, and they don't delineate between the east and the west side of the peninsula. So
Right.
if Homer's got a potential tsunami, Seward sirens go off. That's
Or
a
vice
known
versa,
issue.
yeah.
And frankly, it's outside of the borough's control because their warning system ties back to the national data. And so Aviva Braun with the National Weather Service met with Brenda Alberg and the rest of the borough communities 2 months ago and talked about that issue.
We were all on a talk together. Mayor Chicky says they can do it for tornadoes down south, why can't they do it for, you know, tsunamis?
So that's honestly the biggest concern is that the National Weather Service at the federal level needs to get, I forget what they call it, but basically their little quadrants that they break us up into need to get smaller.
Okay, so when they were doing the microphone testing out there, how were they doing it? They weren't doing it from Kenai, right? Or were
I
they?
don't know.
Soldotna.
Sold
They
out?
were actually doing the speaking from,
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't know.
okay.
Yeah.
Because my impression from the email I read was that it was going to be local,
So we do have 2 local control points in town,
okay,
police department and the harbor.
okay. And you can get on a microphone and speak?
I can,
Okay,
or the city manager, or the police department. Police department has direct access immediately,
right?
where we would have to come in to get into the tsunami.
But then when you speak, are you just speaking to the ones in town and not the, one
When they
out
tested-
there?
When they tested it, when they originally put it in, it was just the ones in town.
Okay, okay. I just really want the city to make this a really top priority, because I don't want us to ever experience what happened in Lahaina, and we need to be able to override. If it goes off because there's a tsunami coming for Homer, we need to be able to tell people to stand down over here. Otherwise, we've already, like, for the people that I know, they don't pay any attention to them anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
There's been so many false alarms
Stephen
and,
emphasized that in our meeting with them online.
yeah,
Honestly, our concern is the opposite way, that, and like Norm said it, in the 3 years I've been here, Norm has said it, I said it, Jeanette has said it, Brenda Alberg with the borough has said it, to the National Weather Service, that the whole Kenai Peninsula is creating a boy that cried wolf scenario.
right.
Because nobody listens anymore.
Right.
So our concern is that like when it goes off, and honestly, the phones, I mean, the last time when we had the event, it wasn't even just because the sirens didn't go off.
right.
It's that people's phones
Phones
got
went
the
off.
alert.
Yeah, my
Right.
daughter in Missouri got it, so.
I mean,
She
people
has an Alaska number.
Right.
people in the
right.
valley were getting it.
Right.
So that's the other concern, is just that, I guess it's a statewide issue almost at this point, because
Right.
we've been saying, when the sirens go off, you need to get up to higher ground, but nobody pays attention
Right.
anymore, because we've had so many scenarios
Exactly.
where it's gone off.
Exactly.
And it hasn't been a real threat.
Yeah.
So that's our concern.
Yeah.
And the Maui thing, that was a whole other set of issues.
Right, but one of the things, we've got these sirens now, the next step beyond local control of the microphones is to be able to have different sounds to alert to something else, right? Not just have them be there. Because this ties to the next question I have, which is, somebody in the community has told me that FEMA has a wildfire specialist living here now because of the perceived threat. Have you heard that?
Have not.
Okay.
So one thing that, of course you all know, because you've been on the ad hoc committee, but Rob has been clearing all those lines, that's what started the fire.
Right.
And that's why we're clearing the lines, stop power outage, but also stop the fire.
Right, right.
I think this is a good topic for
Yeah.
an agenda item.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy topic, because there clearly are two sides, and it's easy when you call false alarms to lose the focus. With our crews, we have to be very careful, warning them every day. It gets to be old hat. So introducing an interesting topic or slant. I will say that the borough has a wildlife interface program, and they do have expert people that are spread out around the Kenai Peninsula dealing with, it's not wildlife, wildland urban interface. So, okay, I had a question or two for Stephen. Anybody else? Okay, Tom? Okay. This is a nice summary, and we've talked, and I know you are going to leave this position, and Norm is also going to leave his position. I don't know if this is the forum, but I'm very interested in how the transition is developed. I know how it might be in private industry, but with government agencies, I'm sure there's a plan. Am I correct?
There is, so I was gonna touch on that. So just to let you know, this morning, I hired Jason Bickling as Assistant City Manager. So he's gonna be Assistant City Manager, he's gonna work with Stephen to go through some stuff. And Cass coming on board, I'm not going anywhere, so I'm gonna help with all that. We have a bunch of meetings scheduled, I'm gonna be joining those to get the good, hopefully, nice, easy transition. There might be a few hiccups in there, but we're gonna hopefully just all work together and be a team to make this work. It's the best we can do.
And Jason's been trained by Stephen, so he'll...
Jason has been on most of all of our, because of community development, on most of the stuff we've been working on. There's a few things he's not. That's what he's gonna get caught up with Stephen before he leaves, before Stephen leaves, so.
And is that Friday? Is your last day Friday?
Yeah.
And then your last day as city manager will be Friday.
It's actually Saturday.
Or Saturday.
But I'm not going anywhere.
No, I know,
Okay.
I know.
And I'll be here with Kat on Monday night for the council meeting. So,
I think you've done a remarkable job
if
this
you have
summer.
any questions, please reach out, and we'll do the best. And reach out to the clerk so we can make sure that everybody gets the same message.
Okay. Other reports. Just before I get to the railroad report, I will say that I did talk to Samantha at the chamber. They still do not have an executive director. They're looking around for one. And she was willing to say from her position, which is not an official position, that they hope to re-engage with PACAB and the council in the near future. And it told me everything was going well over there. So with that, get a Alaska Railroad report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I provided this report in writing some days ago, and I have a couple of updates. A few things have changed. One is, everybody's probably aware that cruise ship Radiance's in port for repairs, has been for several days, and essentially will be through the 15th. We do have a 3 cruise ship days scheduled for the 8th, Friday. That vessel will pull off, the Radiance that is, on the 7th early, and then return late on the 8th when the Viking Orion departs. So there's some logistical things happening there, but that's the latest. All I really know is there's been a problem with an azipod, and I believe there will be some diving work done today. Anyway, we've had this vessel in port, and the passengers were transported over the weekend, and so it's been crew on board. Other updates are, let's see, I had noted in this report we were expecting 3 pipe ships this autumn and early winter, and that number has climbed to 5 in the days since I submitted this report. I noted that the main line would be closing down January 14 for bridge repairs. Those bridges specifically on our end are Falls Creek at 25.4 and Lower Trail Lake at 25.7. Those are rail markers. So that's good news. And then also I had noted that the Roundhouse roof replacement project was nearing completion, and all the panels are installed, and the roof is essentially done, but some trim things need to be taken care of, and that should happen on the 18th. So that's an old building, and on a personal note, I don't have to go down and check rain buckets anymore, so I'm quite happy about that. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions folks might have.
Questions?
So diving, is this just routine, or are they doing any sort of look at the bottom? They've done some samples of what coal deposits might be around.
Oh yeah, so there's multiple diving operations taking place. So right now, Global Diving has been working to do an underwater assessment of our 3 docks: the coal dock, the cruise dock, and the freight dock. And so as that work has been taking place, the focus primarily is our cruise dock. I don't know about monitoring any deposits in the area of the coal dock. I can look into that.
Yeah, touch on that too. I know that when they were running coal, they had to do a yearly inspection, but they haven't been running coal, that's why there's been no inspection.
Yeah, actually, we had friends and family working, doing that coal work, but all of that preceded my hire at the Alaska Railroad. We haven't had a ship since 2016, a coal ship that is. And then the other diving that I'd mentioned, that's for the azipod inspection on the Radiance.
A couple. We'll start with the easy one, I guess. will either the Falls Creek Bridge or the Trail River Bridge have any impact on the highway?
I am not aware, and I have not seen project plans.
I have.
So, yeah.
It shouldn't. But from the permits from the borough, this went through planning and the planning department as well. So I just wondered if, along with all the other road interferences, I call them, whether there'd be any more.
Yeah, the note that I have here says that the bridge, I believe it's the 25.7 bridge, might be raised 3 feet to meet current standards for hydrology.
And let boats pass, yeah. Okay, the pipe ships is great news because that's an indication of the activity on the north slope. I mean, great news to some. The third is, I guess, the three boat day. To my knowledge, we only have one major tug in town.
Well, no, there's more than one operating tug, yes.
Okay, when you have a boat that's in op, was there any potential damage to railroad structure?
No, I would say that the Radiance on its approach came up the bay at 16 knots and took a position on the dock under normal operating conditions with tug assistance, and there were no issues. But still, they apparently want to get their equipment up and running correctly.
Who mandates the amount of assistance that's required? Is that railroad or marine?
No, I believe those are conversations that take place between the master and the pilot, probably, and weather conditions. I'm sure there are standards that are set for wind.
Okay, but your feeling is that services are perfectly adequate for 3 boats or a boat that's in op?
Again, weather dependent. Yes, but the short answer is yes.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Anything else for Dwayne? Okay, thank you. Okay, presentations, none. Unfinished business, none. New business. Okay, so the Alaska Municipal League attendance. We have sent a representative from our board. We have a, Stephen, could you present that just a little bit? I mean, we have a budget for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So last year, the board had a budget and selected a representative. I think due to some personal reasons, the representative from PACAB was not able to attend, but every year, this is a really good opportunity. Typically, you'll have council members, especially those that are newly elected, and then the mayor has been pretty consistent about attending as well. It's a good opportunity to collaborate with other communities statewide, especially those on the Kenai Peninsula. And then there's 3 specific days, the 6th, 7th, and 8th of December, that I think a PACAB member would definitely benefit from. We included the draft agenda in the packet as well. But yeah, it's included in the budget, and it's a really good opportunity to collaborate and learn more about statewide projects. So I would encourage the board to send somebody.
And I think typically the person that has gone to that in the past goes back and gives us a short report, and usually has a little bit of a glow on from the excitement of the event. So, I don't know, has anybody on the board gone to that? Linda, have you gone to that?
I was slated to go during COVID, and it ended up being virtual, so I did go virtually. And I think this is the kind of thing where you really have to be in person. I didn't have the glow, right, when it was over, because it was just so weird doing it online.
This is kind of a glad handing kind of an event.
Yeah.
So is there anybody that has a burning desire to go to this?
I'd be interested in attending.
I think you'd be a great representative. I'd nominate Ben
Yeah.
as a candidate. there, do we need a motion on this, Mr. Clerk?
I don't think you need a motion if there's no objection and nobody else wants to go, then
So without objection, the chair would appoint Ben Smith as our delegate, and you make arrangements with the clerk for the funds available for whatever it is that they can provide them for, housing, meals, or whatever.
$1,000 budget, I believe, is for this. And Shannon, was that something that you worked on last year and then it, didn't pan out, but you got,
So basically, yeah, I did the registration for the person attending and then we would take care of everything.
Good. Okay, next item is the vessel tax, and I think the harbor master can lead us through that.
Yes, so this is on your agenda. We'll bring it up, the agenda every year. So nothing much has changed. You have seen the wait list there, should be there.
It's still pretty impressive.
Yeah, so we still have a big wait list. And I think, you see our wait list. We still have a wait list, and it goes up and it goes down.
But so the total number would be, it's a couple of hundred.
Roughly, yes.
Yeah. That's,
Like most of them are in the 32-foot range.
Did that switch? It used to be the 40-foot ones were,
40, but it came down a little bit with the price of fuel. I think some people were just not liking it, but it moves on. It's probably, these numbers were from 2 weeks ago. It's probably changed. Probably got more people on the wait list. So.
Can you explain the attachment on our page, looks like 27? It's a description of a bunch of different.
That's from the borough, so they didn't send why it was like that and what it is, but that's their class code, and I believe it's, you can see the length of the vessel is what they charge, boat commercial, and fixed wing, same thing. I'm not sure what their acronyms are for the aircraft, but the boats is, the number is definitely the size.
So that's a borough designation?
Correct.
And you just use that, or we follow along with that?
We just, the borough comes and does the assessment, we don't do any assessment. Borough comes and does the assessment, they'll stop by and ask us if they have new vessels. The ladies will give them a list of what we have for new vessels, and they'll go down and look at them if they're in port. And he goes around and does more than just the harbor when he comes over. He does, around the other areas, so.
In the report, the income statement from the borough, this is a compilation of,
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff there.
it says expenditures, but
what is wild card accounts?
taxes are income.
So, total expenditures is what the borough's probably sending to the city. That's what we expenditures.
Okay, so from harbor
This
operations.
is their document, so they're expending, they're sending this money to the city.
Got it, right. And what is a harbor budget a year?
For taxes,
No, operations.
it was over 3.8 million, and then just about one plus, across the bay has gone up a little bit because we've been so busy over there.
Or 5 million, 5.5, 6 million.
1 point something over there.
No, I mean total.
Total, probably around 5 million or something. And like I said, it goes up, 2020, of course, was our best year. Nobody went anywhere because of COVID.
And as far as this wait list, Norm, when there was a redesign of the docks, trying to figure out the lengths and the best configuration for the number of tie-ups and stuff, this was all considered. Do you compare this to other communities, or what's the value of this
So
data?
when before we expanded twice, our 32-foot list was the biggest. Then since we expanded twice, that list dropped way down. But now those 32-foot boats are coming back to be popular again, and that's why the list is so high. And there's been a lot of boats changing hands lately. So one thing that we're looking at down the harbor is not so much 32-foot lists, even though there's a lot. We want to add some 40s, 50s, 60s, 75s, and 100s on Z-float. It's designed to take those. Remember, we've seen that way back when. It's designed to take, that's what we're looking at next. Probably maybe go up for bonding to get that done because it'd be revenue. We have a bond maturing here shortly, so we can go out for another revenue bond where you don't have to go to the voters for it. This would be a revenue bond, one maturing. We can use those funds and then the funds as we build a new dock with power, so.
Would we expect the user groups to participate in the design of that? I mean, if you put in 100-foot boats and, I'll just take that number, and the people that are in the 40, 50-foot boats say, hey, we want those smaller spaces.
So Z-float, let me see it here. So Z-float design here. So this first one would be 100s, 75s, I believe 60s right here, and then 40s. So it's already designed to take those size vessels.
Well, that's the size boats that's tied up there now,
No,
isn't
but
it?
the docks don't come out sideways.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was already designed by R&M when they first originally. The platforms are there for the electric already. All they have to do is pull new wire to go to each of those floats. And
Would they take out an explode to do that, or?
no, everything will stay
You can
there.
spin it in there?
And everything will be pulled down the dock, and the transformer is always big enough to take that.
So that dock now is Z-dock?
Correct.
So they would be fingers on Z-dock?
Correct.
Okay, and then you would add morages depending upon best use?
They'll be on the wait list, and if you're on the wait list, then they'll go through the wait
Correct.
list of who, and then they would move over there.
And there's a fuel dock on there now, right?
Fuel dock is here.
Oh, I see, okay.
This is right along the breakwater.
Yeah, okay. Oh, is that the last space that you could expand into there? Does that fill up the harbor?
It fills up the harbor. I probably wouldn't put nothing on this side because this is maintained by the Corps of Engineers. I mean, we could do something here, but it's probably not to have, we need some transient moorage. But there's talk about bringing power to this dock. And this side here is leased by the Army, which they gave up their vessels. They're giving up their vessels, but currently it's still leased by them. They're not going to have any more vessels.
Really?
Yes.
Command decision, huh?
They're going to turn that dispatch building into a, which was just at council last meeting, they're going to turn it into a couple rooms, apartments upstairs, like for rental, just for military personnel, and like a little gymnasium downstairs, just for military personnel.
So you'd have to bring your own boat?
Correct. But I'm not sure what they're going to do, but they're still leasing it right now. They were going to splash 2 boats this summer, and they did not.
Okay. Changes. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Linda?
So if the predominance on the wait list are the 32, the 40, and the 50, why, and we don't have anybody on the wait list for 100,
So we had some on there, but they dropped off.
okay?
It's because it's a long, because we only have one spot right now. But, so the 32-foot list, we'll go through that in 1 year. Where the 40-foot is 4 to 5 years. Same thing with the 75s or so. That's the reason for the bigger slips. Get more turnover for the larger slips. Because the 32 goes pretty much within a year, you should get a slip. Might be a year and a half at the most. Before this number jumped up, there was definitely, it was 6 months.
Okay. Okay.
So, do you see that we should have any action here? We've reviewed this.
We reviewed it before, and then there's a lot of things that the borough has to do. This is tied to the mill rate also. So remember that. So I have no clue how to do it, and the borough wasn't sure either, so I don't know what to tell you there, but it is tied to the mill rate. So we'll have to go back to the voters or
To change the vessel
change it.
tax.
Vessel tax, if we want to go to a flat tax, like, some other facilities do. So
What would your recommendation be?
my recommendation says we have a wait list, and I say we leave it alone. That's my recommendation, we leave it alone. Because the flat tax, the only thing the flat tax is going to do is going to hurt the small guy.
Right.
it's gonna add to the small vessels, 40 on below, they're gonna pay more.
Which line items on the budget statement are the vessel? There's personal tax, I'm guessing? The revenues
Which one's that now? Oh,
from the borough.
so, I believe it's at $398,000, I believe.
And there's a special, Seward special down there that's 96. Same label, just curious.
Yeah, I don't know what this, like I said, this is their document. They never did say what it was. I can ask that question.
So, yes,
The $96,000 one you're talking about?
Yeah, it's the same, it's a personal tax 2,000,
As the one that's 398, right?
correct?
Okay.
So that indicates that the municipality is collecting a vessel tax.
Through the borough, like your home taxes, when borough collects it all, and it gives the city of Sioux back up.
So when I look at this KPV flat tax schedule for watercraft, I'm sorry, this was an additional a document that I picked up. So it notes here, city annual Seward full value. This is additional city annual tax. I guess I just had a question about that. It notes here that other communities such as Homer, for example, have a flat tax of 200. Yeah.
So the King Edmundsboro charges a flat tax for themselves also. So their flat tax and then the sewer tax.
Sorry, I didn't print more of those. I just.
If you could to the clerk and
Yeah.
send it to us.
So Kenai does full value after 20 feet. They do full value also, right?
Right. So I guess my question is, does there need to be any adjustment to the taxes? Is there a concern here that people are being overtaxed for their vessels, or is this adequate, with getting good income?
So you remember when Mayor Cherry was here, that she had gotten a letter from some of the barges that come into town in the winter, and they were complaining about the tax that the borough was charging them. And they need to let the borough know they were just for wintertime storage into it, and they adjusted their tax, but you have to ask, they won't do it on their own. And they do, they'll drop it down, but you could ask them, you can't not say anything. And most people know that now when they come in, they know they're gonna get taxed, I'm pretty sure, because I haven't heard nothing at all last year. So.
Council, member Atwood, I think that in the past, we've had to look at some drastic changes because of some complaints and little things like Norm brought up. Some particular users thought that they were getting a short shift. There were very few, very, very minor occasions. And for everything we've heard in comparison to other communities of similar harbors, you know, our rates are competitive, and our facility is excellent. And just as an aside, I happened to park and eat my sandwich by the ramp by the National Park Service there. Man, that is a top-notch ramp.
The other one on the other end is the same thing.
And you know, it's beautiful that the development has been continuous and looking forward and improving the structure that's there. So when people argue about rates, I think we can say, look what you're getting for your rates.
Well, if you remember when we went through all the rates here in the past, we tried to stay even or just below all the other peninsula facilities. And we don't worry about Valdez because Valdez is subsidized. They're going away from being subsidized. They're going to raise their rates a lot.
Subsidized by who?
Huh?
Who are they subsidized by?
The oil.
Oh.
And they're going to be going up. And Whittier's the most expensive harbor in the state. And then Southeast is, you know, Sitka, they didn't do nothing for the longest time, and now they're going up 10, 12% every year. So ours is tied to the CPI, so it's a little jump every year instead of, some of you might remember when they did the big increases back in 2007 or 6, there was a lot of arguing because there's big increases. So that's why we do the CPI, just a little increase to keep us right with everybody else. And most of the other harbors are going up to the CPI, I think, too.
Well, I think we lost some mortgages then, mostly because of we didn't have the spaces. They were going wherever they could find a space. And with the improvement in the dock, you've
Well,
improved
they did the
that.
2 expansion projects, was really nice.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions for Norm? Thank you. If there's no action, I think we can accept the report. On the last page of our pamphlet, we have our schedule. There's a work session scheduled September 20th. I will not be able to make that meeting. And we'll be back for a regular meeting on the 4th. If you have a topic that you think should be dealt with, if you would get it to the clerk, and I suspect Linda will be here, and you can schedule that work session around that topic. Unless somebody has something now that they would like to add to that topic.
Well, I have the tsunami siren thing. I wonder if we could have a work session and get some of the people involved, either from FEMA or the borough.
The borough would be Brenda Alberg. I could ask her and see when she's available, if you want to, and I can let you know if she can make that meeting or not, or.
Yeah, I mean, if she
virtually.
could teleconference, she wouldn't have
But
to.
Norm, I did provide those numbers,
To them, okay.
but also for the national,
Yeah.
for that.
So that work session would deal with emergency services and siren and
Yeah,
warnings?
yeah.
Everybody buy into that?
Just one question for clarification. Norm, you had mentioned that now we have the ability to do local messaging.
We've always had.
We always have. Okay. I didn't know that was the case. I thought at one point that wasn't a possibility or even a capacity. Not that.
But I think it only applies to the sirens inside the city limits, is that
As far as I
right?
know, when they tested them, they tested one down in the harbor. It was, I mean, of course, it wasn't across the bay, but they said they all worked. I'm not sure about the police one. I know theirs is in there they can talk to. But,
Right.
so, I wish the chief was here to get talk about it, but when the siren went off, the police do what they need to do, try to get everybody out of town. We were looking, I automatically go and look and see the tsunami map, to see. But then, if you read it, you went online, we were not in the inundation zone.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so, that's an issue, like you said, so.
And I'm concerned about the community out there, because they're stranded if something actually were to happen on the road. You don't want them on the road if it's really a tsunami. So I wonder where that local control is. If you guys have a way to make your voice come out
I don't know,
there?
that'd be a question you have
Right.
to ask for the borough.
Yeah, yeah.
I know they've been, like I said, the new sirens are up, and
Does the fire company out there have
I don't know if Carl does or not.
I don't think he does.
Tommy's out there.
I think it'd be really good to have something like that, or even a gate, because my campground is emptied out, even though we're running, I'll send 30 employees out
Oh.
to every motorhome and say, hey, don't go, if you go here, but they just they bottleneck it, they panic, so.
Okay.
It'd be great to have any improvement in communication out there
Sure.
would be
It
awesome.
should be tied to, well, that'd be a good reason to have a work session.
Right.
To come up with a plan and community thoughts on that.
What date did you have in mind? I'm sorry. See if she can be available.
Okay. Okay, so we have come to the end of our agenda.
I had another quick question,
Yeah.
Norm. How many spots are you gonna have for like the 100-foot, like fingers there?
So there's talking about, I don't have the picture in front of me, if I remember right, 1, 2, 3.
Is it gonna be at an angle or is it gonna be straight?
Straight in.
I've always really liked how all the spots were like north-south
Yeah,
because
that's
we
where
get
they're
the
gonna be.
north-south winds.
They're gonna be, so, but
Because
on the other side, they're gonna be 75, so you're gonna have to come in and then go
Yeah,
down.
a 100-foot boat has a lot of
No,
sail
but
area.
yeah, the 100-foots are gonna be on, so if you come in, you just go right into the 100-foot spot.
Oh, so it is gonna be north-south,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Yeah,
this is the main walkway out,
I
and
see,
then the
okay.
fingers will be north-south.
I thought they were gonna be east-west and
No,
that
no.
would be really hard.
Just the main walkway is gonna be east-west.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
I'll grab, I'll find that picture and I'll get it down. We'll put it in my manager's report for the next
Yeah,
meeting.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, that's a good comment and question and answer. Okay, so information items and reports, none that I know of. Citizen comments, I don't think we have any of that. So we're up to board comments, and we'll start with our newest member, Tom.
No comments.
No comment, okay. Dwayne?
My comment just generally is that glad to be back after the break. We've had, the railroad has had quite a busy summer season, and we expect to have a busy fall and early winter cargo transition. But I've enjoyed my time on this body, and I guess just one of the points I'm making is I appreciated the break. I've been very busy through the summer months, but again, I'm happy to be here now. Thank you.
Okay, Ben?
Thanks, Stephen and Norm, thank you for your service to the city of Seward, and it's been a pleasure working with both of you. On the tsunami warning thing, one of the other concerns I have is there's tends to be some mixed messages that that are being put out, and that study that came out was a few months back, where literally the entire town of Seward is in red, and if you go down the railway, there's a infographic showing that the entire city is not safe. And I feel that needs to be some more consistent.
So that that's the one that they just put out, because we had several meetings on that. So that is, I can't even name the plate that's out front, he's gonna try to help me here. There's a big plate out front. If that goes, that's why it's gonna take out the whole town. A normal tsunami, I'm not gonna say normal, but a tsunami is not gonna be as big as that says. If that plate goes, we have 20 minutes.
What plate, when you say plate?
I can't remember the name of it. Plutonic plate?
Tectonic.
Oh, tectonic.
There you go, thank you.
Okay.
Anyways, that's what, and when they came and did the study with us, and we weren't happy with that map, absolutely not, because
It's not helpful.
it's not helpful. And so they came back with another one, I believe. There's not one in here?
So that's the worst
Case
That's the
scenario.
worst case scenario,
So
and it
the
goes
worst
all the way,
case-
it goes all the way to Bear Lake.
The worst case apocalyptic scenario is what we are showing. That's our message. And that, I feel that that
there's three
is
different-
a little excessive. I mean, anything could happen, right? We know that we can have 1,000-foot high waves up the sides of the bay. This has happened. But what is the likely scenario and what is the best scenario to aid in getting the public safe?
So the important thing with that to keep in mind is that the funding for it came about after the Japanese
2011?
tsunami in
Fukushima.
Yeah. And basically they wanted to say what is the worst case scenario. I mean that map is worse than the 64 scenario.
They have
right?
different layers in there.
I mean the data is the data.
Is that the helpful message that we want to be, is that our response?
Well, they're already
Is
here.
If we have a tsunami, you are out of luck. That's our message.
Well,
Well, they're
That was the
already
worst case
here, though,
scenario though.
right?
that's worst case. So if you're falling down, you need to get out of town as fast as possible. That's what
Okay.
the chief is pushing all the time. It doesn't matter, just you need to
Yeah,
head out of
I
town.
welcome a continued discussion of this. I
agree.
look forward to it. And that does, that's why I'm still in my comments there. As having some involvement in nuclear power, it's nice to see the research going forward, and we certainly need to find a more viable source of energy for our future existence here. But since Fukushima was just mentioned, it is something that has to be very carefully considered, and they are initiating the release of their containment or their radioactive water with tritium, which is going to last over the next 40 to 60 years continuous. So these advances, I'm happy to see that we're working towards that, but due diligence, and look forward to see what comes of it. Thank you.
Linda?
It's great to be back, and I'm glad that we get to say goodbye to Stephen. After I listened to the council meeting, it was like, oh, no, I thought you would be gone. So it's great. I appreciated the break, but I'm anxious to get back to the things that we do. I think it's important work, and I appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you.
Chair Walker, can I make a quick comment? I
Yes.
just wanted to officially introduce our new Deputy City Clerk, Jody Kurtz. She was hired during your summer hiatus, so this is her first PACAB meeting.
Oh, welcome. Let me be the first. I think you've been involved in city government, so we've crossed trails before.
Well, first PACAB meeting with the clerk's office, I should
Yes.
say, because she used
An
to work
official capacity with us.
the city manager's office.
Thank you, thank you. And so I have been busy, like all of you, and didn't miss this, frankly. I do enjoy the work we do. I'm glad to be back. We have one empty seat besides Board Member Walker, so I would hope, oh, I think we do.
Yeah.
2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we have
I would
one.
encourage you to, beat the brush and find someone who would like to step up and who has a passion for the city of Seward. I think that's why we're here as volunteers. I think that's why many of us participate in government. And frankly, I think it's why our paid staff is involved with a town like Seward. I mean, it's the end of the road. There's a reason that people come here. So thank you all for that, and let's try to get a full board. The nuclear energy thing, I just touch on that. I've been an advocate of this kind of technology for a long time. I followed the Air Force in Galena, looking at a deeply embedded small reactor that was abandoned when they shut down Galena Air Force Base. That project was expensive. The research has continued. Miraculously, we're finding a gleam of light at the end of the tunnel. It's funny, when you stop research into something, there's certainly not going to be any light at the end of the tunnel, but if you keep going, maybe you'll find something. I think that's a good lesson. Of course, I'm in the coal industry, and I encourage people to find solutions there too. The service that Stephen and Norm, of course, have provided to this board and this city is, I think, without question, exemplary. I think if we could hold up an example of public service, these two guys would be what we'd want to see. So thank you for that. Other than that, I don't want to get into too much more. I talked about public service. I appreciate doing that. I will miss the September 20th meeting because I'm going to take a train ride, and we'll be back. So if that's it, we'll close the meeting out at 12:53.